All right, Aries. So this week you're pulling some difficult ones here, and there's kind of two different ways that I'm feeling about this. Now, this week from Lay Vampire, you pulled the past to prison, bitterness, grudge, and refusal to let go. And then from Chakra Wisdom, you pulled isolation. Now, the past to prison, the blessing here says you now have a chance to free yourself from the sadness and misery of another, and to set a wonderful example of how to live freely without bitterness and regret. Working with this card talks about finding those who have suffered and who have moved on, for they may have something to teach. Now, the curse seems to be coming up a lot this week with this damn card. The curse says your kindness and desire to help may be creating a situation where you are hearing a great deal of negativity. This is having an impact on your energy. Please take steps to remove this influence and to listen less. Now, with isolation, you're either going into self-protection mode here because of the negative energy that may be being put on you by others, or there is something that you are refusing to let go of. And because of it, you're moving into a spot here with isolation where you may be allowing good opportunities to pass you up because there may be something you're still hanging on to. Now, the inspiration says, do not wait for the right time to live your life. You are on the verge of something big, but if you don't participate, it could pass you by. And then the personal question asks you if you know the difference between isolation and solitude. The key ideas are self-protection, making excuses, over-preparing, never feeling ready to take action. And again, for me, there's two feelings around it. All right, Aries, here we go. Here's the energy coming through. You and Pisces. So the Six of Cups. Either nostalgia or being stuck with the past being a prison. What I do like about this card is the way that it's depicted. This woman is moving away from thoughts of the past, making your peace with the past and moving forward. Now, for some of you, it could just be nostalgia, looking at things in the past, but we shall see where this is playing out here. And in the past, clarity. Now, it kind of makes sense, right? If you don't have that now, it makes sense that you're going back to the past where there was clarity. The Ace of Swords, the truth, knowing the truth, seeing the truth, speaking the truth, having absolute mental clarity. And, for some reason, I feel like you don't have that now. And that's why you're looking back at the past and going back to that period of where you had that clarity and able to see and speak things clearly. Oh, in the present, the Lovers. Now, for some of you, it will have to do with a relationship. But on the other hand, when you're looking at the Lovers, you're looking at major life decisions too. Now, if that's what you're facing, that may be where, the past is coming in here, where you're trying to get back to, the clarity around the choices that you're wanting to make, or clarity around a relationship. I kind of feel like both, but I do think that for some of you, it is going to have to do with a relationship though, especially if this is something, that is tied into a truth in the past. Future conditions, the world. Wow. Okay. So now seeing the world as future conditions is basically saying that, yeah, there's a major ending. This is a new start. It does lead to the new start here. But what I like about the world is that it's suggesting that, whatever was in the past, it's going to complete itself out nicely here. There's going to be a feeling of, accomplishment and success, especially if you're looking at major life decisions. In terms of a relationship, for me, it doesn't mean the ending of a relationship. It just means that, there's a feeling here of, feeling good about a relationship, feeling good about, the way that the relationship is turning in a new direction though too. But you're still looking for clarity in this though too. Now, for some of you, you're ready to move forward from the past. You're not wanting to hang on to any more bitterness or whatever. But I don't know, I still have like this iffy feeling here. Wow, your best path to follow, the Fool, and that's perfect. It's perfect for you. Having faith in the choices that you make, but also having faith in a relationship as well. Whatever was going on in the past, I do think that you're ready to walk away from it. And I think Spirit is telling you that, yeah, now is the time here. You have clarity. You know how things are going to develop here with whatever choices you're making because of the world being underneath this. In your environment, the Seven of Pentacles. So, reevaluating the situation and reevaluating, the past and the way that you thought about the past and the clarity that you've had. If you're making major life decisions here with the Lovers, the Seven of Pentacles is basically saying, okay, am I seeing the results of the efforts that I put through, right? Like I've always said this with this card, reevaluating a relationship, reevaluating the choices that you're making, but everything looks successful with the world. I just, worry about what the hell it is with the past that for some of you, you just can't let go of. Now, that just may be for some of you. On the other hand, for a lot of you, things are going to be looking really good here. And the majors you're pulling look perfect. But I do think that Spirit is telling you that now is the time for the new path, right? You're going to meet that major ending here. Things are going to be successfully completed out. It looks really good here. There's going to be a new beginning. And you're going to have to take, that leap of faith here. But you're also going to have to move forward from the past as well. Your hopes and your fears, the Knight of Wands. Now, I like the energy in terms of you, right? But the thing is if you're going to start something new here, especially with, a relationship, you have to be careful here. I've always said with the Knight of Wands, he's moving in quickly with a lot of passion, but there isn't a whole lot of thought about the consequences of actions or the long term. But definitely you going after your passions, absolutely, and hoping to be able to do that. There just may be some things that you need to release from the past so that you can come out of isolation and start doing this. But again, for some of you, it's just that situation. For others of you, everything looks really good. You're reevaluating things, but you're looking to see with the Seven of Pentacles how you can continue to make things grow, With the Lovers, it's either your major life decisions here to follow your passions, or you have a lot of passion in a relationship right now. And things look good. Things look good with the World being there, right? Wow. And then the outcome of Temperance. Woo. Okay. Now with Temperance coming out, basically, what I love about this card is you see her mixing the two cups. You've got the water and you've got the fire, right? And it's creating this rainbow. Needing to have that balance between the way that you're thinking, the way that you're feeling, having a little bit of patience, right? Having a little bit of patience here, especially when it comes to, a relationship. Now, in terms of the way that you're reevaluating the situation, if you're looking for continued growth, definitely you want to move forward with a lot of passion here, but, you also want to look at what is the right action to take. Just make sure you're not rushing into something without really thinking about the long term, so to speak. But, I do think that for some of you, when you're looking at the Six of Cups and you're looking at the Ace of Swords, for a lot of you, it's just, you walking away from thoughts of the past, and moving into some clarity over the past, seeing the past a little bit differently here in terms of, again, whatever major life decisions you're making or whether it has to do with a relationship. Things look really good with the World, and then looking at Temperance. You just need to have patience and a little bit of balance with the situation. But I do think that, your best path to follow, the Fool, is saying it's time now. It's time now to begin that new path here, right? And move away from the past. Make your peace with it and move forward, right? And hopefully, you know, a lot of you, it's not a situation of isolation. It's just, you know, you're no longer allowing the past to hold you prisoner. Patience, needing to have some patience. Risk, taking a risk, right? It's going to be a risky business. But you're fine. Like you're going to be okay, you know? Relationship looks all right. Major life decisions look fine. You know, you're just going to have faith in the choices that you make, you know? Definitely you want to move forward with a lot of passion, but you don't want to be so quick here that, you know, the risk is too great. You know, you have to have a little bit of patience, but there is renewal here. And I think for some of you, it's a renewal coming out of, you know, whatever was happening in the past that may have kept you stuck. You know, but again, going back to the oracle cards, I do think though, and I do feel this for some of you, you have to be careful about what energies you're taking on. You know, it's okay to be open and to be kind to other people, but you don't want to cling on to, you know, their negative energy. You know, I can understand going into protection mode, but with isolation too, you don't want to be forever in that position. All right, Aries, we're going to take a look at the romance angels to see what is going on for you guys in terms of relationships, with the lovers being there. What are the messages for Aries singles? Stay optimistic about your love life. Positive thinking and faith will bring you romance. Yes, positive thinking. But, you know, remember, too, that you can't be in a negative space and be thinking positive, right? Negative thoughts have their place. It just depends on how you utilize that energy here. But, you know, definitely stay optimistic about your love life. You know, there's no reason why you can't have love in your life just like everybody else. Make the effort. Great love is worth taking the steps you're guided to take, right? Being guided to take the right action. So definitely make the effort in your relationship no matter what is going on. But everything looks good. Everything looks really good. You know, I just think that, you know, it's kind of a mix for some of you here. You know, the past of prison, definitely there's things that you're going to have to walk away from the past. And that's apparent with the Fool. But, you know, it's a risk. You're taking a risk here on either a love situation or decisions that you're making. But I think you're making the right assessment of it, looking at the Seven of Pentacles in the world. But definitely you're going to have a little bit of patience, right? You don't want to move too quickly with a lot of passion and not, you know, think about what the consequences are going to be. But definitely you want to have a passion for what you're going after. All right, Aries, so you had me a little worried here. But actually things look really good. Really, really good. And I think that for a lot of you, you're going back to the past and retrieving that clarity here, looking at the Ace of Swords. But then I also do feel like that, you know, Spirit is trying to tell you that you're going to have to take a risk here and move away from thoughts of the past, right? But in terms of, you know, the past of prison and isolation, I do think that for some of you, this is going to apply. You have to be careful about the energy that you're taking on here. I can understand going into self-protection mode, but you don't want to let good things pass you by either. But, you know, on the other hand, for some of you, it's just needing to get away from whatever is in the past that is holding you back here. Because, again, the Fool being your best path to follow is Spirit saying that, yep, it's going to be risky here, but you're going to have to do it, right? There's something in the past that needs to be moved away from. Renewal, I like in terms of the lovers. A renewal in, you know, how you feel about the decisions that you're making here, or a renewal within a relationship. It does look really good here. And whatever was in the past is going to complete itself out very nicely. There is a feeling of success here. There may be a renewal within a relationship and a second chance. I mean, you're moving forward definitely in a positive direction either way. Now, in terms of, you know, the Seven of Pentacles being in your environment, you know, if there were any kind of difficulties, whether you were making major decisions or you're looking at a relationship, I think you're evaluating things in a good way here. You're looking for continued growth within a relationship or the decisions that you're making. I don't feel like, you're following temptation here at all. Because I've always said with the Lovers, it's either temptation or the moral high ground. And I think you're looking at it in the right way. I would just be careful here because you are going to have some patience, right? Like, absolutely move forward with a lot of passion here. And you want to have passion when it comes to a relationship, but you don't want to be, acting in a way where you're not thinking about the long term, And then also, too, you don't want to be in and out. But I don't think that that's it. I just think that, you're ready to move. You're ready to move on a situation here. You've got a lot of passion going on, but you're going to have a little bit of patience. And that may have to do with where the past person is coming in. There may be things in the past that you need to let go of. And maybe isolation is the time for you to be in solitude rather than isolation, to just kind of clear some things up here, especially if you're dealing with a negative energy that's clinging onto you. Now, in terms of a relationship, for those of you who are single, stay optimistic, right? Everybody deserves to have love. Don't give up on the idea that, this is not a possibility for you, because absolutely it is. Now, for those of you who are in a relationship, make the effort, right? Make the effort to see things complete themselves out nicely when it comes to the past and whatever was in the past that may have been holding you back, right? But overall here, Aries, wanting to move forward quickly here with a new experience. I mean, yeah, if these two cards aren't you, I, don't know what the hell is, right? But you're going to have a little bit of patience. You don't want to move too quickly, but you do want to have a passion for what you're doing.